Dive into GDPR, focusing on data confidentiality. How can we ensure usage? We've discussed data a lot, but the problem is that there's always the law, and we're a bit scared. Many companies don't allow themselves to analyze their data and their clients' data because they're afraid of running into legal issues. So I'm not a lawyer, but what I can show you is everything we've found. And after discussing with some lawyers on the subject, there are actually methods to follow to ensure you can use this data, all while being legally compliant and still being able to use artificial intelligence. For instance, let me share a particularly useful and complex case, if I may. For many people, it's when you're an accountant. Accountants have a lot of client data.
The issue is that a single AI error can land a company in hot water, making it a tricky subject. But I'll demonstrate how to use this data legally.
So look here, for example, I have what we call FEG. So the FEG is the Accounting Document of Excellence. It's extremely detailed with a lot of information inside.
Most importantly, it includes clients' names and extensive details about suppliers.
Expenses, elements like that, which we can't afford to exploit. It's unthinkable. If someone does it with artificial intelligence, whatever it is, there's a breach of trust and quite a few issues will arise. So what we train. So when we guide companies, including accountants, in data use, we mainly talk about data confidentiality. Very simply.
In these Excel files, what we generally do is take the columns with our client's information.
Let's say you export this FEG document from your accounting software.
You remove the columns with client information and then save it, so you record it.
Now I no longer have Microsoft Excel, but I save it as a copy without the confidential information. Whether it's client names, suppliers, if it's generally identifiable, if you have any doubts, if you say,
could it still be identified? With the SIRET number, we might trace the company's name. It must be taken out. If it's there, failing to ensure data confidentiality.
So what we generally do is remove this confidential information. For example, if I had a more digital marketing theme, where I have a lot of information on my client's behavior and what they purchased, what I can do is simply remove the client's name, along with their ID, so their identity on my platform. And I will always keep the demographic data, like age, gender, everything they do, their behavior, the kind of things they have done that I can analyze. In fact, the idea is, can I analyze my clients, or am I able to analyze my client? If I can analyze my client, there's a problem. If I can trace the behaviors of each person, the suppliers, the companies they work with, it's not good. However, I can take the fake. So once again, I take this element because it's the hardest to use with AI today, so I tackled the toughest task possible. I can take this fake, go to ChatGPT, and start working on it, but there are 2 or 3 elements that if you haven't done legally, you're not good. So it's the same. Once again, with a lot of data sets, I'll walk you through everything needed to ensure you're fully covered and compliant. So look, here I have my fake document, so it's a fictitious fake. I'm not going to give my client's information either. Here we might think we're good because in the end I removed the columns. But to be 100% sure we're compliant, we already use tools that adhere to GDPR. For example, all tools that are Asian, like Deep Cycle Asian. This one in particular is Chinese.
No data respect, no GDPR, no shame. They can take your data. It's their property. Using non-GDPR compliant tools is illegal, and if discovered, it could ruin your company. So we avoid such tools.
You should know that Mistral, which is our French ChatGPT, if I may say so. It respects data. It's the best in terms of management. Well, GDPR management is a bit less good than ChatGPT, to be honest with you. But at least it respects GDPR, so if that's really important to you, I encourage you to use it. So here we are back on ChatGPT because it's the majority.
Most people use this tool. First, create an account.
Go to your account, data management settings, so data management settings. Improve the model for everyone. So I'm doing it again so it's not too fast. I click here.
To enhance the model for everyone, make sure to leave the box unchecked. Otherwise, they say what you input into ChatGPT becomes OpenAI's property.
Isn't yours? It belongs to OpenAI in the US. They can do absolutely whatever they want with it because it's their property now, and GDPR we're not good because in the end the servers need to be in France. You shouldn't give them to American companies because then Americans have the right to ask any company to give them the data. They have so they can exploit and verify these kinds of things. So GDPR is to keep information in Europe and also to ensure that French companies don't give their clients information to Americans and Chinese and Asians. These kinds of things. So in our case, you should know that ChatGPT, their servers are in Europe, so we're covered. But if you overlook this, they can use your data however they wish, and you've consented to it. So we steer clear of that. The final crucial aspect, especially in error-sensitive fields, is that the information must be precise and privatized, so confidential. And with all that, we add, so we've already done this step. We also add the ephemeral mode found here. And so ephemeral, there's no saving for security reasons, as you can see here. There's no saving, and so this allows me to exploit this data that has been...
I've deleted the columns, set ephemeral mode, and configured ChatGPT. We do several things just once. After that, we can start using the data, and I'm free to ask.
Could you make a recommendation for this client regarding their accounting information on what expenses they've made and how I could optimize all that? And there's nothing holding me back since I've ensured compliance. I've covered myself, I've made all this confidential, and I can start working on it.
So with all your data sets, the GDPR focuses on confidentiality and proper setup.
If you don't do it, we're not good. Don't use the wrong tools.
We avoid DeepSeek since it spells trouble for your company, so we stay vigilant.
Also, as I mentioned, the final important mode
is the ephemeral mode, which lets you store nothing in memory while still making recommendations.
So here I can tell it to do all the work.
It prompts me to specify details, but I prefer a recommendation plan without specifics. Since we're in an exercise, I'll demonstrate quickly and it will handle the task. I hope that was clear. There are a couple of steps to take. It's practical and manageable for most people. Feel free to begin with that. If you encounter any issues or have questions, just reach out and I'll assist you. Check out the outcome. I no longer have to do it manually. I've shared my suggestions, and we can proceed. Best of luck with AI. See you soon. Goodbye.